What's up? Hello, everybody. We'll give it a second, make sure everybody gets in here. Steve is having some technical difficulties. Uh, he is in need of an experienced IT person. He's having some internet trouble, so hopefully he'll get that back going. He has. He says he's going to be fashionably late due to some equipment swap outs he's having to do. So we got the whole place to ourselves, guys. So if you got any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and get those ready. As always, we will be taking those, but it won't take near as long, I guess, if it's just me. So maybe we'll get to it a little quicker. He should be here shortly. So while we wait on everybody to get here and get the party started, I'm just going to scroll through here, look at the comments, see who all's in the house tonight, if I can. If it gets too big, guys, we may just have to call it. So we got Kevin Hallbecker, Norbert, too old for this. How are you, sir? Mark, North Alabama Smoke, Don Owens, not bored. How are you, sir? Robert Giglio, good evening. Down in Louisiana. Brian Smith, hello, Brian. Glad to see you, sir. Brian's in the house, of course. Not bored. It's getting better. Still not ready to be running any 5Ks, which, let's face it, I wasn't running very many 5Ks before I broke it, but it's getting better. I'm able to move around. I still got a little bit of an old man walk, so to speak, which I guess that's only fitting, but it is getting to where I can use it more. I can actually get down on the ground to pick something up and stand back up without having to roll over on my butt and do all this weird stuff. Good night, Callie. Callie says good night, guys. She is going up to the bedroom to go to sleep. She said, y'all guys can stay up all you want, but she's going to bed. I think Fluffy was in here a minute ago. I think she's already up there. So let's see. Deborah Rule, engraving cutting boards. Patty Wright, David Allen, good name, sir. Brian Smith, yeah, fashionably late. That was his words, not mine. Connie Morris, Don, Kai Hamilton, Boomer, Harry Dodge, Ed Cameron, too old for this once again. Deanna Hepner. I'll go ahead and throw that up there. Michael Tittleton, Dawn, Steve, Dan, Mr. Chris Gallagher, land down under over there. Thanks for joining us. Miss Sharon, Daniel Skidmore, Winnipeg, Canada. Ooh, cool. I bet it is cool up there. Oof. John Thompson, and we will have to get to that in just a minute, John. So if I don't get your question, you can ask it again. Dale, Northwest Florida. Norbert, how are you, sir? James Richards, Ozark, Alabama. Hello, neighbor. Ralph Strauss, good evening. Chris, again. Minnesota Customs up there by Steve. Hey, maybe you can run over there and help him get his internet up and going. But yeah, he'll be here shortly. So if y'all are wondering where is Steve, if you're just getting here, he's having technical problems, and good IT people hard to find, and so he hadn't found one yet. But anyway, Tom Baker, how are you? And let's get to the questions here. So yes, Greg, been a lot of work going on around here to past few days. Deanna, I need a jig for my P2 for the RA2. Do you have one? I don't make a jig kit for the P2 per se. If you want to do it kind of like I did mine, you can get the S1 kit or the D1 kit or any of the kits and just get that little cutout for the RA2 Pro. With the S1 or the P2, I mean, I haven't really done that many tumblers with it because I just usually do use the S1. And so I've never really created anything specifically for the P2. The honeycomb in it moved around a little bit. I did create a little bar to kind of lock it in place. But as far as the rotary, I never really done a whole lot with that. But I mean, if you want to engineer it the way that I've got my S1, then all you really need is that cutout file for the RA2, and you can bolt it to whatever. So there's that. Speaking of X-Tool S1s, hang on. Let me show you guys what I got today. A lot of you have asked me about this, and I reached out to my guy and told him that people keep asking me about it. And he's like, well, maybe this will help you answer the questions. So check it out. That's what I got. All right. So now I will have the 2-watt. I think it's 2. Is it 2-watt? Yes. I will have the 2-watt. There's Fluffy. I will have the 2-watt IR capability for the S1. It just came in today. I did take it out of the box and drool on it a little bit. But there goes Fluffy going up to bed. And you will probably not see Tiger. Tiger is a bit wild. That's why she never comes in the videos. And she mostly stays outside. Thus the name Tiger. Also, because when they were kittens, she was the meanest of the kittens. She actually bit me when she was a little kitten to the point to where, like, it scratched the bone on my finger or something because it ached. Oh, my gosh, it ached. But they were feral cats that were rescued. Their mom was wild. And I know you can't tell they were feral at one time, but believe it or not, at one point, I had to keep the cats hidden from the kids because you couldn't pet them. Like when I'd try to put food in the little cage I had them in, they would lunge out and bite my fingers. So I had to get them tamed before I could let the kids even know they were here because I was like, I can't let the kids see them and then not be able to keep them. So a little backstory on that. But there we go. So that's what I'm going to be playing with in the near future. I'm going to be getting that on there. I've got a couple of projects that I want to try with it, and that was the whole purpose of me getting it. I never really thought I would like a 2-watt IR until I got to play around with the ASMR 2-in-1. And I kind of liked that thing. But, of course, I only have so much room, so that thing went to stay at Klein's house. Because Klein does custom mailboxes and car tags and stuff. So it went to stay at Klein's house. But I was like, man, I kind of wish I had a 2-watt module because, it's the bigger stuff is pretty handy. So, yeah. So now I got one. So now I get to play. I got to come up with some projects. I want to do some car tags with it as well as a mailbox because my mailbox is looking pretty rough. Oh, and there comes Steve. There he is. All right.
Yeah, not from the workshop, but I'm here.
Whoa. I didn't have like applause. I need to get some applause and put on here.
Yeah.
That's the best I had. So, but yeah. Too old to do this. Will the new inline fan from X Tool help with cutting? If you're not having problems with too much smoke or your machine getting dirty too fast, fans really aren't going to affect the cutting ability of a machine per se. Long term, yes, it will help because it's not going to get as dirty. Lens is not going to get dirty as fast. And it's going to maintain a cleaner machine. But as far as like short term, does a fan make it cut better? No, it doesn't. It will cut. You can turn the fan off completely and it'll cut exactly the same as it does with a fan on until the lens gets dirty, which is going to happen quicker without a fan. So the fan's really not going to change your cutting ability. And if somebody told you that, then I would argue that that's probably not true. Long term, will it help? Yes, because your machine is going to stay cleaner, but it's not going to like give you a boost in cutting ability. All right, so AGT, no, that's not the same head. It's the S1. The head actually, like, it comes off and on really easy with the S1. The S1, I will say, of all the machines that have like swappable heads, the S1 is the only one that I've seen that I actually like the way they designed it for head swapping, because some of the other machines, it's just an undertaking. But that one, I think I will like it. So, I think that's it. Okay. Yep. Steve's in the house.
Literally, right. Yes.
So now that you have made it, Steve, you want to let everybody know why you're late?
My fairly consistent internet decided that downloads are great and uploads are bad. So I had to reboot the reboot the router, and unfortunately that's inside, and I just figured I better just hop on here rather than bouncing back and forth between two. So, which is unfortunate because I was hoping I was going to hang out in the shop yesterday. I added a little diesel heater to my shop so I don't have to burn so much electricity keeping it warm this year.
Sweet.
So I was going to run, I've been kind of slowly testing it out, making sure, so I got a carbon monoxide detector. I got it, my infrared temp gun and all that, but running it a little bit just to check. And it's going to get cold here like tomorrow or Tuesday, when our highs get to be your low 30s. And so I'm glad I got it installed the past few days. But like anything, you always want to test everything, check all the connections. But yeah, I don't want to run that while I'm not out there. And it's this computer is right down my modem. Everything's right up there. It's just easier to check on things here. And I can't do show and tell on the enclosure project and such. So,
well, I mean, I guess you could go back up there, but yeah, I saw your picture you sent me. So you have made progress on the enclosure. Are we?
Yeah,
are we operational?
No, not yet. So I dropped a little shop update video earlier this week because I'm kind of in the middle of a few different things, and I feel like I'm not making enough progress on any one of them. So I kind of wanted to put that out there to say what's out. And I didn't even include everything in there. I've been wrestling with another machine we're not going to talk about, but so I got the parts cut out Tuesday, Wednesday. Dry fit together, and then after some other headaches yesterday and today, I decided to jump out there for a couple hours before dinner. Got the main parts glued together. I've got the cutout for the honeycomb in. I'm trying to decide though. I'm thinking I want to maybe box off some of the area underneath so that the air is more focused right under the honeycomb. So I'm just trying to. I'm debating between making that shelf panel not permanent. Maybe screwed in, but if I need to swap it out because I get a different honeycomb or something, I don't want it to be glued in. So I'm just figuring out how I want to do that structure. And then I'll be able to get that all in place, get the rails for the honeycomb in, put the top on, and then I measure how many times and cut. I cut one piece too small. And I'm out of that type of plywood. So I'm either going to have to glue some pieces together for the actual lid, which is too bad because that's the part I'm going to see the most, or I'm going to have to go spend some money, get a nice piece of half-inch Baltic birch.
I would probably go ahead and spend the money.
I probably will. I got there's a couple places in town I think have it or can get it pretty quickly if they don't have it. It's a little more expensive of plywood, but I mean, this is an enclosure I'm going to be using quite a bit, and everything but the bottom piece is this Baltic birch plywood. The bottom piece that you're never going to see is some MDF, just because I didn't have enough out of the two sheets to get all the parts. But yeah, it's coming together pretty well. We'll be getting a camera in there, and then I do need to go to the home center because I'm going to rig up the exhaust at the bottom. I'm going to probably get like a square to a round duct adapter, like you put in around the house and such. So I'm hoping, so I got to go to the home center tomorrow, pick up some of that stuff, maybe check on that plywood, and hopefully by the end of the week. Just kind of depends on how things go this week. I got a few other things going on and keeps bouncing me around, but it'll be there. And then we'll be able to, I've got a couple of bigger, cooler projects I want to do with the A70, and my temporary ones aren't going to work so well. I can't really open the door and just vent. So I need to get it done so I can keep using that machine.
Yeah, cool. So you're still not hearing an echo or anything, are you? Because I was going to put these on if I need to, but if it's not echoing.
Only just, I think there was just only a couple little blips of it, but so far it's okay.
Let me go ahead and put them. I'll go ahead and put them on. I was sitting here watching it, and I can't see where it's filtering it, so it's got me bothered. It's got me worried.
But yeah, So yeah, I've been working on that. I did. You were just mentioning the Acer dual head machine. I've got the the P3 came in for me, but I had them send me the 2448 head.
Woo.
And so I did get that hooked up. I got the camera aligned. And one of the cool things, of course, it's out in the shop for the, the little dot calibration card. They actually mounted theirs on a little like 3mm foam board, which is nice because most people are cutting like 1/8" material. They're not cutting paper thin material. And so it just helps dial it in that much more. Because your camera operation, it's calibrating to whatever height that's at. So I ran through the calibration just with the enclosure lights, and it's actually pretty darn accurate in all the corners. I mean, you always have that just very slight variation, but this is one of the ones that I've found is as close to being on as maybe the Rolly Lasermatic. In this one, very similar in how accurate that camera is. So I was impressed with that, but I haven't, other than a couple of real quick test cuts, I haven't been able to run that one yet because I've just been bouncing around on everything else.
Yeah, I hear you. I have been busy, but it's since the knee got messed up, I've kind of been like just kind of coasting.
Yeah.
So since I got the knee starting to feel a little better, starting to get, back in the swing of things, man, I have been getting busy and I haven't had that much equipment stuff to bog me down. And I know you've kind of got hit with the equipment bog right now. So you're kind of hung up messing with some equipment, but luckily for me, currently, I don't have any equipment that I'm testing or anything. And so that frees up a lot of time because you don't realize how much time you spend with these machines until you go a couple of weeks without having one. And it's like, okay, that's much more time on my hands.
Yeah. Let me double check.
My channel's showing up. What? Steve,
I just had to switch my microphones. I got a new web camera and it defaulted to that one. So
I knew you sounded a little different.
There we go. Hopefully this is a little bit better.
I wasn't going to say anything because you've had a rough night when it comes to IT stuff already.
It's been a anyway. There. Hopefully that fixed it.
All right, Super Duty wants to know if you're going to do a video on the heater.
Yeah, I don't know that I will. I'm still figuring it out. So I don't want to come across as this is how to do it or this is even a smart thing to do. So I'm going to see how it goes and maybe I'll do a report on it later after I feel like it's working okay. But I've been watching. I've been kind of keeping my eye on them for a while for a variety of reasons. And so my sister's been talking about kind of putting together like a cabin thing and trying to figure out ways to heat it and such. And this one's kind of set up it's very temporary. So I took my window panel out, took the screen out, and made an insulated hole kind of thing, and then put it through there. So I can completely undo this as if it was never there if I find it doesn't work out too well. It's my camera doing weird things.
What's up with your web camera moving around? You're making me drunk. You got a cattail sticking up in your
head. I have a cattail.
So is this your new webcam that you got that's following you around?
Yep.
So what'd you end up getting?
This is actually okay. I got to see if the software can turn that off. It's Insta360 4K webcam.
Oh.
So I just noticed in some of my recordings.
Fancy.
Okay, you can say hi. Say hi to everyone.
Fancy.
Everybody else there.
See, I don't have any of those.
Well, this isn't like the 360 camera that they sell. You are very persistent. It's a dedicated webcam, but it does have this kind of, it tries to keep you centered, and then you have different gesture things to also, like if you're using a whiteboard and such, but man, that moving around is kind of freaking me out.
I bob my head too much to use one of those because it'll just be sitting there spinning.
Mm-hmm. All right. Maybe
All right. So Gary's asking S1 versus D1 Pro, worth the upgrade or wait with the current offers? As always, if you're happy with what you got, and you don't see any need for it, then don't push it. But as far as the S1 compared to the D1 Pro, if you like running Lightburn, in my opinion, the D1 works better with Lightburn than the S1 because you lose some features. But if you plan to use XCS with it, then the features are pretty awesome with the S1. So that would be my thing, depending on what software you plan to use. If you plan on using XCS, then yes. If you plan on using Lightburn, I don't know that you're going to see as big of a difference. The work area is shaped differently, so you do end up with a little bit bigger work area, and the machine does run faster. Like the speed of the S1 is faster than the D1. So those are some benefits to it. Yeah. You're just going to have to hold your head still.
It's got to be a way to turn it off. Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. If it also depends, I guess, on which version of the D1 you have. That being said, using if you're, some people just hate using XCS, and if that is the case, then you're not going to like the S1 because it is crippled in Lightburn a bit. Whereas if you don't mind using XCS, it's a pretty nice machine. A lot of people complain that it doesn't have a camera, and they added the little smartphone app.
Yeah, it's too gimmicky.
The positioning that they have in there, where you move the head to a corner, mark the corner, or move the 3 points on the circle, or whatever, that actually works very well.
Oh yeah,
it's very accurate, and more so than the camera at times. So I don't mind that. I do like the S1. I like that it's wider, and you start coupling it. If you buy into the X Tool ecosystem, which isn't always the cheapest, but it is really nice. You get the auto air assist that you can tune to engraving and cutting. You get the AP2, which I'm still testing mine. I've been running a few things on it. That's automatic, and seems to work pretty well. Everything just kind of works well together. So it is a really nice laser that way, but you are limited in that size. The D1 you can stretch out with their rail kit and such. So there are some trade-offs to it, but it is a pretty nice laser. If you're okay with using XCS, that's the caveat.
Yeah. I don't like the S1. If you told me, hey, you can only run the S1 in Lightburn, I probably wouldn't want to run the S1. But it runs really nice in XCS.
Hey, I turned it off.
Did you figure it out? All right.
I found the right button.
I'm glad, because I ain't gonna lie, it was starting to bother
I know. I've been on the other end of that where someone has that turned on, and I'm like, okay, you gotta stop. But anyway, we're good.
Yeah. John Thompson's asking, where is the thing to change the move distance of objects? Are we talking about in Lightburn? Like when you hit the arrow keys in Lightburn? Is that what we're...
I need to get
little clarification on there, John. I think that's what you're talking about, is like when you hit the arrow, it moves things in Lightburn, and there's a way that you can do like shift or control settings. I think that's what John's talking about, but I'm not sure. So let me know. Give me some clarification on that, and if it is, then we can go over it with you.
And I'm just getting back into comments and such, so I'll try to catch up. But Super Duty Jeff, if you want to, you just send me a message on Facebook or something and remind me that you want to know my thoughts or a little bit more, and I can share with you what I know now. But yeah, I don't know that I want to do a full video on it just yet. So.
Afraid of what the ramifications of the video could possibly be.
I get you. It's just for me it's still very much an experiment. So I don't want to. I don't want to tell someone this is the best thing since sliced bread, have them buy it and burn their house down or something, you know?
So. There you go. Brian said measure twice and cut 3 times if you don't have more wood.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to try to get caught up on these. I feel just a little. Oh, here's one. Mark was asking, have any of you laser cut felt? And yeah, I actually have. You just need to be careful. Not all felt is made the same. There's some very cheap, plasticky stuff that's not good. It makes a real rough edge, and it gets a little bit charred and can actually flare up a bit. But I did, and as a matter of fact, on let's see if I have that here. Yeah, so I did that pen box video, and here's one of the older ones I did on my CO2 with a pen I turned ages ago. And at the bottom of them, I actually do have a little felt layer in there, and that is laser cut on both top and bottom. So yes, you can. Just as with any material, try to make sure you know what's in it before you cut it. So
Sharon says she used my iCube template to make personalized ornaments. Did a little modification. It worked perfectly. Yeah, if you can, like I said, once you get the basic principle of that thing down, you can pretty much adapt it to work with anything that's smaller than the file is. So, Mark, I'm wanting to say, I'd have to go back and look at the video, but I'm wanting to say I left it either at 100. I may have run it up to 120, but I rarely go above 120. But I'm wanting to say it was at 100. I'd have to look at the video. Because I don't do anything special with it, especially with the blue. If you go too high with the LPI on using Ceremark, you will actually like adhere the Ceremark with the first pass or the first line. Like if your line is overlapping too much with Ceremark, you will like adhere the Ceremark going this way, and when it comes back this way, it'll cut it off, and then it'll adhere it, it'll cut it off, adhere it, and cut it off. So the thing that you got to watch with Ceremark is you do not want overlap. You want it to be just perfectly butted up against each other, because you got to think the same amount of heat it takes to put the Ceremark on the porcelain, it will actually take it off as well. So you want to avoid overlap when you're using Ceremark, and because like I said, what'll happen is it'll lay it down and make it stick, and then it'll turn around when it comes back by. That overlap is going to take it off, especially if you run an air assist. It's going to clean it right back off of there. So with Ceremark, you do not want overlap. I repeat, with Ceremark, you do not want overlap. I learned that one the hard way, because I was like, man, it looks so good, like for a second, but then it just like disappears. And that's what's happening is you're putting it down and then you're tearing it up. You're putting it down and you're tearing it up with that overlap. So avoid overlap with Ceremark.
Yeah, I mean, in general, if you can really dial in your LPI to be just to where they kiss each other, you can get away with it in some materials, but in other materials, you'll start seeing that kind of line difference. So if you can dial that in, it helps a lot.
Jeff says, any suggestions on the longer B1 40 watt? I just bought one. Very excited. I've got the 30. It's a good machine. I used it for a long time. Still got it. I don't use it, but I still got it. Just make sure everything's good and tight and adjusted. I never had any problems.
Yeah, I believe they changed out their nozzles, their air assist nozzles, because I have the 20 watt. I haven't gotten anything bigger than that from them, so I can't comment to like the power levels or anything on the 40. But they had a really large outlet on their air nozzle, and it wasn't very effective. But I believe a couple people confirmed they had modified those. But it's a real nice machine, good working area, I think good value for it. So and the new enclosure I'm building will fit some of these larger ones that are just a little too big for my others. So I'll be able to pop that one back in and help people out as needed.
Yeah. Clement says I use S1 with Lightburn. It works great. And most basic operations, I would say, will work great. But like curve surface engraving, which is one of the things that the S1 is actually, that's why you pay extra. It's because it will actually engrave like a curved surface without running into it. A baseball bat, if you had a baseball bat laying in there sideways, you could actually engrave it without running into it. Those type specialty things you can't really do in Lightburn unless they've made some major changes. So those are the things that I was talking about. As far as just like X, Y axis, X, Y, and Z axis operation, yeah, I mean, it'll work. But the extra things that it does, you lose, including automatic air assist that X-Tool sells, the automatic, the air purifier. I don't think, well, the air purifier, once you connect it, it would probably still work, but you would have to have XCS to connect it. So, because all those settings are in the XCS. So, I prefer the S1. Y'all know I love Lightburn, but I prefer the S1 being ran in XCS.
Yeah, I've gotten used to using XCS with all their machines. Just, a lot of times they'll still design in another program and import it. You're right. It's, and you're going to start seeing it with a lot of the others that are starting to kind of come out with some of their own features. Atom Stack and Monport are coming out with machines that have some of these additional features, and Lightburn, unless they're doing it in a standard format, which if they're creating it their own, it's probably not any standard yet. It's going to be hard for them to implement it all. So,
North Alabama Smoke, as I just said, I don't design in XCS. I design in Lightburn and export to XCS. Maybe Steve knows this answer. But if he's trying to design something with a rectangle, is there a way to bend the rectangle?
That is a good question. I mean, I know you can do node editing, which would be kind of tedious way to bend it. But I don't know that they have like a skew or an arc kind of thing. It's kind of the same thing. I've been pushing myself to do more designing in XCS so that I can help with questions like this, but
it's
old
tough.
Dog, new tricks. You learn something in one. I mean, I don't even Lightburn. I don't always do all my design in because I'm just faster at it in other applications. So I'll do that in there and then import it sometimes too. So
that's the thing with me. That's the thing with me is just like a lot of times, even for CNC stuff, I'm so used to Lightburn. Even though VCarve has a lot of the same tools, I'm so accustomed to the way the workflow of Lightburn. I'll knock it out as an SVG and then send it over to VCarve, and it's just quicker for me. Whew.
Yeah,
mercy. Oh, I'm yawning already, but that's just Now I'm getting better about designing in VCarve, but now the X-Tool actually adopted the scissors that they had in VCarve. Because I was always like, man, I wish I had these scissors over in Lightburn to where I could just cut the corner off of stuff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then this last update or the one before, they dropped them scissors in there on me, and I'm like, okay, that's much better. But
I don't know. Maybe you went through some interesting things with your S1 at one point. Craig saying that S1 switched off mid-job, turned all the LEDs off, but the front button's still on, removed and replaced all keys, plugs with the back machine. No success. Any ideas?
If you leave it powered off and power it back on and it still doesn't cooperate, then you may want to reach out to X-Tool. I did have a problem with mine. Now, mine was during a firmware update, and it could have been something, just went screwy with my my USB connection. But I actually had to put a new controller in my S1, but it only took for them to look at it, diagnose it, ship me the board and everything. It was like a week. And I had a new controller in my S1. So hopefully that's not what has happened, but it don't sound good. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, this is one of the areas where, knock on wood, I haven't had that level of failure with any of my X-Tool stuff. So I haven't had to work with them on that. I have had other issues with some other machines where, you know, they've had to send me parts and such. And that's the mark of a good company, is if they can get back to you quickly and get you parts. Unfortunately, it does happen. And so just something you got to deal with, unfortunately. Robbie's getting a mini split for the garage. Yeah, I know. I've talked about it. You know, Clack enjoys his.
Love it.
We'll see. We've been doing a few other house projects this year and maybe next year. I don't know. It's something I should do, but it's so far down the list of other things that and it's, you know, there's a couple months in summer where it gets really hot, and there's a couple months in winter where it gets really cold. It depends on the year. There are some years that winter drags on way too long, but my shop out there is insulated pretty well, that it does pretty good. It holds its temperature pretty well until you get deep into those seasons, and then things cool off or heat up a lot. And so I kind of need something to take the edge off each way. And in the summer, it's really more about dehumidifying and adding just a little cooling. But maybe next year, we'll see.
Well, luckily my mini split is holding up pretty good, because this doesn't mess around. Got cold down here too. So luckily it's holding up good. Like today, I mean, the low last night was 45 and the high today was 75. So, I mean, it's really putting the struggle on my mini split, but it's working.
I think the high today maybe got up to mid 50s.
No thanks.
Yeah, tomorrow.
I actually wish it would cool off a little bit, because hunting season's like upon us here, and it's really hot.
Maybe I'll see that. Tomorrow and Tuesday it stays in the 50s for the highs, but then it drops off, and we go into the 33 for a high, 30 for a high on Friday. Yeah, it's winter is upon us.
Yeah, I think John said he figured out what he was trying to figure out, which was I think the increments.
Okay. I'm still
so I
trying
think we
to
got
scroll.
that handled. Somebody was asking about a camera for their version of Enclosures Zilla. I use the 180-degree fisheye cameras. If you go to my Amazon shop and look at laser accessories, you should find them in there. I've got them marked. Anytime you're looking for something for your laser, if you want to see what products I have used, tested, or recommended, if you'll go to my Amazon shop, I've got that list where it literally says laser. Like, I've got laser engraving blanks. I've got laser parts and accessories, laser machines. I got all that stuff kind of like marked there for you to look at. And I'm trying to get it to where if I can go to it. Hang on. So that way, if you're ever needing to look for something,
like
and yeah, there you go. You got it if it pulled up. So I've got different lists. Yeah, I've got different lists. Those are all the videos, but like up there, you can go to like list right there.
Yeah, you got your lasers and accessories.
Yeah, see, there's the cameras. Now, one of those it's one I used forever. They've discontinued it apparently, and it's been replaced by the 16 megapixel.
Mm-hmm.
The 8 megapixel was the one that I left it on there because that's the one that I've always used. Yeah. But the other one is very similar. It's just a 16 megapixel.
I think this is one I have and am.
Oh, they've got them back in stock again now.
Yeah, this is one I believe I've got this linked on my shop as well, and this is the one that I'll be putting in the enclosure I'm building. So
that's the one. Like if you look at my enclosures, like that camera right there, that's the one I'm using for that. All my enclosure cams, that's what I'm using. And most of the machines that I get in that have built-in cameras are using a camera really similar to that one. also, including the Rolly, the Genmitsu that was enclosed, the Adam Stack, the Aesmer, all of them. The camera looks just like that one. So, no, I haven't tried X Tools marking spray. You would think I could get them to send me some of that, but I haven't.
I have some. I just started testing it. I'm actually testing it on some glass because I have hopefully one of the projects that I hope to get done is a modification of some stuff, some lanterns I found at Michael's that are on clearance that hopefully will make some kind of cool, holiday Christmas decorations. And so I'm going to modify them in a couple different ways. So I do have that. I actually have been collecting a few different ones. So I've got Sir Mark, I've got Brilliance marking spray, I've got the Ohm Tech version, and now the X Tool. And I'm very broke from buying all those, but I'm hoping to do a side-by-side comparison of, them all to try to see do they all work the same or any of them better? Because I want to test them on low power diode, high power diode, CO2,
sounds like
and maybe even a fiber. So
it sounds like you might need to quit spending so much money on that, where you can get you an air compressor, or not air compressor, but get you a mini split.
Yeah, well, I think people will be more interested in the results of that than my slight discomfort from not having a mini split.
Yeah. Harry's asking, when using shop air, what pressure range do you use? That's going to depend. I do not go with a specific pressure because depending on the size of the line, the number of bends, the type of hose, there's a whole bunch of variables that can take two identical pressurized lines and just change the whole dynamic. Pressure is a varying measure. It's more about, I would say, like cubic feet or cubic inches per minute or whatever. But the easiest way to do it is tune your pressure while the machine's cutting. And I just dropped a video link in the description in which I kind of go over how I set mine up. One very important thing is you do not want water to make it to the laser. I didn't originally, but I now use 2 water separators, one before and after the relay, because I was finding that if I put it in one place or the other, I would still have a little water get through occasionally. But now, since I've done the 2 water separators, so far I have had no problems with water finding its way into the laser, because as soon as water hits that laser lens, it's a pop lens and you're going to be replacing it. Hang on, I've got one around here somewhere on my board over here. I'll show you.
Yeah, I had that problem on my original CO2 where I had the moisture trap at the air compressor, but had too much line going to the actual laser itself. And yeah, you get a little bit of water on there, the laser beam hits that and it'll shatter it like that.
Yeah, the reason I know that that's what happened is because I had just put this lens in there. It was a brand new lens, and started the machine up and was cutting. And all of a sudden I look over there and there's this big wet spot in my material, and the laser is just like burning like a square on the material. And so I stop it, hit the emergency stop and stop it. And that's what had happened. That was a brand new lens. So, and I know it was water because the material was wet. It looked like somebody had took a squirt bottle and sprayed the material right there by the cut. So, yeah, not a good idea.
Yeah. But as far as air pressure, I've run as low as 10 and maybe as high as 30, depending on the machine and such. So you're generally not going to be super high on it. But again, it's going to depend on your setup quite a bit. So, do a little playing, try to get a control as close to the laser as you can to kind of adjust the flow and dial it in. You can kind of watch the cut and see how it improves or doesn't improve it.
Well, the way that I've got mine set up now, I'm running probably, I think 50 PSI is my line pressure. That's the line pressure through the shop. When it comes to where it gets to the enclosure, then I've got a regulator with a water separator. That regulator there, typically I'll be less than 10 psi at that regulator, usually closer to 5. And then from there, the line goes inside the enclosure through a electronic solenoid, and then out of the solenoid to another water separator, and then around to the machine. And so the way that I do it is I'll turn the air assist on, start the cut, and I'll sit there and I'll adjust that regulator and watch that cut. I'll start with no air assist and just slowly increase the pressure until I get a clean cut that looks like somebody laid a hair on that piece of material. And then when it gets to that point, I'll just like lock it and leave it right there. Because if you go too far, you're just wasting air at that point, and you're pumping a lot more air into your enclosure. And if you're pumping air into your enclosure, it's going to, at some point, too much air is going to counteract your fan, because you're just moving all that air around everywhere, and you're building up positive pressure inside that enclosure, and it's going to start making it leak other places if your fan's not up to snuff. But that's the way I do mine. I'll make it start a cut and just use a piece of scrap material, start a cut, and I'll just sit there and I slowly adjust the pressure as it goes. So, and there's a video. I dropped a link down there. Go check that out. That shows you everything you need to know about my air assist. Clark. Yes, not Clark. It's Clark. Yes, I've been running the AP2. Ran it on the F1 Ultra a couple times the other day, and I've ran it again on the S1 doing some testing with those Christmas balls, because I did those Christmas balls on the S1 and the F1 Ultra and the Lasermatic, just playing around the other day. And so far it does good. Even though I've cleaned that top filter, it's still showing it's at 92%. So I don't know if there's supposed to be a reset button for that or what, but we'll see.
Janny's asking, can you glue paper to wood and then cut it? Yeah, you can. Of course, you want to be careful with types of glues, but if you just use your typical, white glue, craft glue, it's kind of like wood glue. That's going to be fairly easy to cut. You don't want to be crazy thick with it. But yeah, I've even done just glue sticks, and generally works fine.
Well, I'm gonna let a cat out of a bag. I had an idea for some Christmas ornaments that I was going to do, and it called for wood and wrapping paper, Christmas wrapping paper, because I was going to take the Christmas wrapping paper and glue it to the wood, and then cut it out and make like little boxes out of it. So I haven't done that yet, but that was on my list of things that I was thinking about doing between now and Christmas, because I thought that'd be kind of cool, because you could have like little decorative boxes and make your own little laser cut Christmas tree. And I just thought it would be cool, especially the fact that you're using real actual wrapping paper. But yeah, I cut this stuff right here, this paper, all the time with lasers. It's just heavy construction paper like you get at Walmart.
Yeah.
It cuts really, really, really good. And you can use this stuff when you're decorating or designing files. You can glue this to a piece of wood and cut it and the wood at the same time. So,
yep.
Just don't go too slow, because it will burn. Which so will wood. So,
Gray Vikings asking, from a design efficiency, is it better to butt shape side by side, long straight edges to only cut once, or put a small space between the two lines and cut each by themselves? If you're batching things out and you're going to be doing a lot of items, or you have just that many parts, yeah, it can help save time. You do need to be careful, though. If you're doing interlocking pieces, that takes away your ability to adjust for kerf on that edge. So it's going to be what it is. It'll cut a little bit into each part, as opposed to if it was cutting on, adjusting for kerf on cutting just outside the line. But yeah, back when I was doing a lot of model airplane kit parts and such, I would I would take the time and find the optimizations of where can I double up parts to have, one line cut out 2 parts. And I mean, there was one glue caddy that I started out at. It was 15 minutes when I first ran it, just prototyping it. And by the time I kind of dialed in the optimization settings in Lightbird and doubled up pieces, I got that down to like 10 minutes or less. So, I mean, I shaved a good third of the time off of it using not only that, but you want to look into the optimization settings of Lightbird. And there's a lot of things you can do in there to tell the job to run more efficiently. So it is worth it, but you just got to remember that it removes your ability for adjusting for kerf on that one.
Yeah, that's what Chris was answering that. But yeah, that's the only time you have to worry about it is if kerf, if the cut thickness is going to be a problem. If you're batching out things that you don't care, like they're just cutting out little squares, it doesn't matter. But when ultra tiny little moves matter, I would just cut them individually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been telling him, Lauren. A mini split is the way to go. Mine heats, cools, dehumidifies, the whole 9 yards. Like I don't know what I do with thing. It's only 53% humidity in here right now, and I'm in Alabama, so.
Yeah, no, and part of it too is, I mean, I know they make the DIY install ones, but what I'm looking for is more of heating capabilities in extreme cold than an excessive amount of cooling, in the summer. And so a lot of them they try to average it out. Whereas there are some specific ones I know, like by Mitsubishi and others, that are really made for cold climates. Unfortunately, they tend to not be always DIY and not always available to the average Joe to buy. So I've been trying to talk with some HVAC guys about, hey, what's going to be best for me here and such. So it's just been, I haven't connected with them always. There's been a lot of back and forth on phones and timing, differences. So we'll get there.
Yep. Trying to catch up on these comments because man, we are woof. Dennis is asking, Steve, what state are you in? He is in Minnesota, South Canada.
Yeah, I'm in southern Minnesota. There's a lot of Minnesota north of me, but yes.
No, I don't work like that. I've tried it. It don't work. You can't get affiliate purchases for your own.
Yeah, they seem to catch that and so yeah, I try to remember when I'm shopping on Amazon, like, I better go click on Clack's link first, and at least someone else can enjoy some of Bezos' money instead of him. So
that's right. He's got plenty of it. He doesn't need
a lot of it. I just, give me a little bit of it. That's all. Yeah. And if we missed your question, folks, just go ahead and drop it in again. I'm trying to keep up with it, but yeah.
Yeah. And if you haven't already, it is 54 minutes into the live. If you hadn't, guys, please hit the like button down there. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to myself and Steve. It is, it's coming up on the new year, and we will be having our Christmas fiasco. I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but it is gonna be a fiasco. I can guarantee you, it'll be a mess. We may have some cool stuff to give away. Well, I know we're going to have some cool stuff to give away. I just don't know how much cool stuff we're going to have.
Giving away that board, huh?
Yeah, no. Can't get rid of the truck now. We're definitely going to do some more Amazon stuff because that's just the easiest way to do it. We're also talking with other companies and whatnot, just like that CNC company that me and you were talking about today. I emailed them and was like, "Hey, this a possibility?" So we're trying to leverage into getting you guys some free stuff for the Christmas video, and we want to try to do more of it year round, but we're just, the next couple of months is going to be the guinea pig for it to see how well it works.
Yeah. And some of the companies are a little more, they're I've actually had a couple ask me, like, do you planning any, Christmas viewer engagement things that we can help you out with? So I was like, well, since you happen to ask, yes,
since
we
you
are.
ask.
And so, yeah, we're hoping to have some cool things for you. And we will either way. We're hoping to, really, really up the ante on it. But so planning on what would we say, the 22nd, I think, is the Sunday before Christmas. So
Maybe I can't remember. Not sure, but yeah, it's going to get there. We'll see. Harry, if you're looking for, like I said, like we were talking about a while ago, if you're looking for any kind of stuff that you see on my channel, especially, I think Steve does the same thing. Go over to my Amazon shop. Like I said, if you go to lasers and accessories, as far as the air assist regulators and so forth, this is what I use in my shop right here. This is a little kit that I order. Matter of fact, it's got that's like a whole bunch of them. I don't know what that is, but anyway, be careful. Don't buy the whole set, but this is the regulator. This is where I get the regulator. I don't know why they've changed the that's not right.
Yeah,
but
that's
there's the regulator, and there's a water separator, and for some reason there's another water separator. I don't know if that's an AI photo or what. But yeah, these are all like, these are relays for the air assist. This is 24 volt to 12 volt. That's something you need to know. Wiring parts. So pretty much anything that you see in my videos, I try to go in here and add it to the store so that you can find it. Glasses for the different lasers, just different stuff. But yeah, that is the regulator that is in mine. If you go to watch that video that I put the link to it in there a while ago, the regulator links and all are in my videos. If you go, so you can go to my page and just search for air assist, or look at that video that I dropped earlier.
Yeah, mine isn't quite as fleshed out as yours, but I try to put a number of the things out there, like you say, the supplies, some of my general workshop tools, support equipment, as well as lasers, and there are a few videos out there try to throw up on different parts that are kind of the short and compressed.
Yeah, I need to do a better job of that, but right now it's just so much going on. It's hard to keep up with everything, but I do try to add that stuff to my accessories page when it's something that I use a lot, because people are always asking me, "Hey, what fan do you use? Hey, what do you know?" Mm-hmm. So I try to make sure I have that stuff there for folks to find.
Yeah. So Mark, yeah. I guess depends on what you consider winter around here. I mean, the longer you here, you get used to cold, and so warm for me, Clack will probably be shivering his butt off, So
why you gotta pick on me?
You also gotta remember that, we can go from 10, 20, 30 below to 90 to 100 degrees. We got some extreme temperature swings up here, and it'll go from crazy humid in the summer to super dry in the winter sometimes too. So yeah,
but can you go swimming? Can you go swimming for Christmas? Could you have a pool party for Christmas? No.
Have you ever heard of the polar plunge?
Well, I guess you could do that, but I'm just saying, could you comfortably go swimming at Christmas?
People do. Yeah, once things up here, they cut holes in it and jump in their skivvies.
See, I'm about ready to start doing some hunting up here or down here, but the problem is right now I'm going to have to wear a camelback. I'll dehydrate. I'll be sweating my tail off. Mosquitoes are still out right now. We got to at least get cold enough for the mosquitoes to go home before I try to do a whole lot of hunting. Because I've got some pretty good captures on my game camera. I am ready to go hunting, but I just can't make myself do it. If I'm going to get ticks on me going hunting, I don't really want to go. You know what I mean? So it just takes the fun out of it when you got to come back and pick the ticks off of you.
So you're a fair weather hunter, is what you're saying.
I just don't like picking ticks off of me. I have all the years of working in the woods and tracking dogs tracking people through the woods and being a sniper and crawling through the woods and then coming home and picking 20 ticks off of you, some of which you don't find for a week. I mean, I just don't like getting ticks on me no more. I'm done with ticks. I spent 20 years worried I was going to get the, what is it, Rocky Road mountain fever or whatever. spotted spiders fever or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
I'm done with it. I don't like ticks no more.
So Mark was commenting on designing in Rhino 3D, which I haven't used in a long time. I started playing around with that for a while, but kind of got into SketchUp and AutoCAD. Exporting Lightburn as DXF or SVG. SVG seems to be working better than DXF. Lightburn DXF import is somewhat unreliable. Yeah, part of that problem is in DXF, it depends on what units the originating program exports it as, and then what the receiving software does in some of them. And I used to love DXFs when working with, model airplane parts and such. It was more common working with CAD files and such. But yes, SVG seems to be more standard. And I'd have to go back and look if Lightburn, sometimes you can tell it. No, I don't want to update. What units the import is. But I don't remember if that's in. So in Lightburn, it tries to auto detect the units if possible. Here, I'll show you. Since I can do this.
Ooh.
All right. So this is under you go to just your general settings. You go to your import export, and here are your DXF import settings. So it is by default, it'll have this auto detect, but these are all the different settings that Lightburn can recognize it as. And so if you are doing this yourself from your one program and you know that it is exporting in inches or centimeters or millimeters, you can specify that. And then it'll be a little more consistent. The other thing that you can do is in your drawing, before you export it somewhere, just draw a 1 inch by 1 inch square. And then you can scale that in your receiving program. You scale that 1 inch square to be 1 inch, and then you'll be fine. And that's a kind of a good habit to get into if you're doing a lot of exporting from one into another, or if you're going to offer files up to someone else, give them some sort of reference scale somewhere in both X and Y, and then that can help them rescale it. But this may help with that. You can adjust some of your settings here if you're having some problems. But yeah, it's a little iffy on how it imports and exports from various programs.
Cool. All right. Jeff's asking, when running multiple lasers, are you using one computer or multiple computers?
Yes.
Me, I just use one. Now there are times that I can use two, but with Lightburn, I can have 5 instances of Lightburn going, and with XCS now, you could actually have 2 or 3 instances of XCS going as well, since the 3 or 4 updates back. So
they actually open tabs, but yeah, you can have up to 5 open in XCS, so you are a little limited there. But so yeah, sometimes, and that's where I sometimes will run multiples. I'll run. Sometimes I'm running XCS on my portable laptop hooked up to some device, and then I'll be running Lightburn. Like on my, if I'm in my shop, I might run that on the shop computer and do that. But and if I'm testing a machine, sometimes I put it on the bench. I just bring my laptop to it, but I got the other ones running off the desktop there. But you can run quite a few off of one using those 2 programs.
Jer O'Grady, there is a way with the Shapoco that you can do that. It has, when you're assembling it, the gantry, it has 2 sets of holes that you can use. One set of holes allows you to use the full 49-inch movement, like from front to back. The other set of holes shortens the work area, but it does make the machine come like 1 inch or 1.5 inches or 2 inches or something like that over the front edge of the machine. And you can set it up to do like tongue and groove type stuff with it. But that's not something I do a lot of. If I were like building cabinets, or if that was something that I built a lot of, then yes, I would probably have set the machine up, built me a file and just run the pieces. But I would have it jigged to where I could clamp it in and know where everything was and all that. But I wasn't fixing to mess with my machine for a one-off project, because it works too well doing everything else that it does. Now, if I ever do, like if I get a bigger shop or whatever, and let's say I get multiple machines where I can have one set up to do that kind of stuff and then have the other one in its form factor like this, that's a possibility. Or maybe go get the 2 foot by 4 foot Shapoko and then set it up to just do the edge engraving or whatever. Maybe not even have a bed like that one has, have it where the table comes all the way under the edge of the machine, and then have the clamps and all that. But it was a one-off project. I wasn't fixing to reconfigure my machine and try to learn and figure out how to set all that up. It was just easier for me to go with something that I was familiar with and slap some biscuits in there and be done with it. Besides, back when I was using biscuits to do stove covers, I bought like a whole bunch of them because I kept running out of them. And so I've got plenty of biscuits. I've still got 2 the little jugs of them up there. So it's not like I had a shortage of them or anything. Well, look at there. If it ain't Decline, the guy that you don't ever see. That man, I tell you what, I ain't seen hide to hair of him in a while. I think he's tired of me or something. I don't know.
Pat's asking about the extension kit. Did it on the S20 Pro. I assume that's the Atom stack. Since then, the light on the power button doesn't come on anymore. And now when I did the upgrade on the 830, I did have to replace all the wiring in there, and so you had to open up the control panel and swap them. Might want to double check those. Otherwise, I mean, is everything else working? Just not the light on the power button? I mean,
it sounds like there might be a wire might have got pulled loose or come loose or something.
If everything's working and the light's not there, I guess that would be annoying, but not the end of the world. But otherwise, yeah, I would go double check all the connections that were in there. That was one of the annoying things. Is it's a small board that's you gotta find all those ports on. It's easy to get some pins not quite seating right, and sometimes on those pins on those little connectors, the plug will go in, but the pin actually backs out a little bit. So sometimes on, like, if you're having problems with your laser or CNC machine and it's being weird, sometimes you gotta double check the plug looks like it's seated, but the pin is backed out. So double check some of those things. Got a noisy cat here somewhere.
I heard that. I think me and Steve use different softwares. I use Fusion 360 for 3D models. Don's wanting to know what we use for 3D models.
Yeah, Fusion 360 is good. I taught myself SketchUp years ago when it was still part of Google. Now they do 3D modeling, but they kind of do it more with surfaces. It doesn't export as like a solid, so you sometimes have to run it through another, like an STL fixer for that if you're doing actual solid 3D modeling. Otherwise, playing around with if you just want something to do some simple stuff, Tinkercad's a good one. That's by Autodesk. It's a free online one. Some people have even used, Microsoft 3D thing that's built into Windows. But once you if you're trying to get into things where interacting parts, you really want to get into like a good modeling program, and Fusion 360 or whatever they're calling it now.
Just Fusion.
They do have some free versions for hobbyists. It's somewhat limiting, but most people that are just tinkering in the workshop will be able to get by with it. So, and they're paid classes, but there's a lot of videos on YouTube that can kind of get you started with it. So, if you need something basic, I'd look at some of the kind of the simpler ones like Tinkercad. But if you're going to be doing a lot of it, take the time to learn some of the more powerful software, you'll be happy you didn't teach yourself bad habits in a simpler program.
Yeah. News fans saying, please do more training on CNC. Well, the reason I don't do much more CNC stuff, to be honest with you, I am still learning myself a lot. Like I can make a lot of stuff with the CNC. I've gotten a lot better, but I am still a novice. So if you see me doing a CNC video, just like the one I did today, where there was actually shortcuts that I could have done to make that process quicker, just know that I'm just trying to come up with a finished product that works. I do not say that I have the most efficient way of doing it. And I'm trying to get Steve to start doing more CNC content, because I've yet, other than the Genmitsus and stuff, I don't even know, and this is just between us guys, I don't even know that Steve's Onefinity actually works. I think it just sits there. I've never seen it make a product, I don't think. So I'm starting to be a little suspicious that he hasn't broken it. He just don't want to tell anybody.
So yeah, well, a funny thing with that is that I bought it to replace, when I was in production of stuff. And then COVID hit, things got weird with my suppliers on stuff, and it was kind of a good time to shut that down and kind of focus on the YouTube thing. That the hobby ones have done most of what I've needed. And it's more relational for more people, but I'll be honest. I do more with lasers than CNC a lot of the time, just because it's handy. I do have some things I want to do, and I do want to make some tutorials with it. But it just kind of comes to a time, I just run out of time lately. And then when I run into issues with something else, best laid plans go awry. So yeah, I do have some plans to do more of it, and I do try to walk people through the process when I show something. So
yeah, Steve LED or L3D is asking, Rolly's coming out with a 2-watt IR module for $399. Do you think it's worth getting? And that is going to depend on your need, as always. You could mark like anodized materials and stuff like that. If you're wanting to get this thing thinking it's going to be a fiber, like you're going to be marking firearms or something like that, that's not the case. If you're wanting to mark and do some stuff, like you could probably do this, like on this black etched knife. You could probably do something similar to that. It's going to be slow. It's not going to be anywhere near as fast as the fiber machines are. But the things that I like the IRs for are anodized stuff, like those anodized tags that I do, painted materials, painted surfaces and stuff like that. It's going to be good for that. Mailboxes, so forth. But don't think it's going to turn it into a fiber. It's just they're not that powerful. Matter of fact, I haven't got the one for the Rolly, but I just got X Tools 2-watt IR module for the S1, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. I never really wanted one of those or got into those until I got the ASMR 2-in-1, and I kind of like that thing. So that's what I'm trying now.
Yeah, my only thing on that is the S1 is fairly simple to swap modules.
Yeah.
The Rolly's not bad, except for that one bottom screw that's behind the air assist.
Yeah, that thing is annoying.
So it's not terrible, but it's not as quick as others. So it's not the worst one to swap. Now there are some, like the We Create, that module is not easy to take on and off. So in that case, I would be like, hey, you're going to have to really be okay with swapping that out. I was just trying to look to see what is the least expensive kind of standalone 2-watt IR machine out there, because if it wasn't a whole lot more than a module, that's kind of a nice way to go, and rather than having to swap them out too much, because they are going to take, they're not as fast as the Galvo, so they're going to take a little bit longer to do some of that stuff. But yeah, they are kind of, as long as you kind of keep that understanding that it's for marking, and while it is nice to have that big working area, that if you were to do something that was 12 by 12, that's going to take a while, because it's a real compressed beam. It's real fine spot, so you kind of have to dial your lines per centimeter, lines per inch, your DPI way down, and it does take a bit. So
yeah. All right, so David's asking, how do you find my Amazon shop? You just go in here, type in Amazon, the Clack Shack, and there it is. Or you can just go to like your regular Amazon page. Like if you, let's just say you just go to Amazon.com, and if you're just, well, it's not going to let me do it, is it? Hang on, let me get a different browser. What's the other browser that's on here? I don't even use the darn thing. Edge. Okay, yeah, that's it. All right, so I'll use Edge because set later. They killing me.
I'm just gonna put mine in chat. That's a lot easier.
Well, I'm just trying to show.
If you search Amazon in the name, for me,
if you're on Amazon, well, crap.
So it's just Amazon.com/shop, and then it's the Clack Shack or shop/Ventari. That'll get you to either one of ours.
Yeah, like if you're in Amazon, like right here, you can literally go up top and just type in the Clack Shack, like you're searching for the Clack Shack, and well, there it was.
Yeah, you got to look at type it in. You'll see that there you go, the top one. You got to click on that.
It'll ask you, like it'll throw that up there. So if you wanted to go to Ventari's, how far I got to go for yours?
Yeah, it's just Ventari.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it's not. They don't like me as much.
Oh, it's your name's what it is.
You're making this really difficult.
Hey, I can't help it. You named your shop weird. It ain't wanting to work. But anyway, just go up here and type in the Clack Shack and it'll pop up. And then you just click it and it takes you to my storefront. But if you'll go, just Google will send you there. And there's also you can go to my website.
Otherwise, any one of my videos, I've got links to my Etsy, my Amazon shops, a lot of the affiliate links. It's just down in that, the show more in the description thing. Same thing off my website. You can find it off of there.
Yeah, but you can also go to my website right here and go to shop. And then this is all my affiliate links. So if you ever wanted to use one of them for whatever, you want to get the merch store, you can go there. There's my Etsy shop, X-Tool, Amazon Carbide, Adam Stack, Rolly, Asmer, Algo, Monport, Marker, and Saint Smart. I got a couple more I need to add to that. I just realized. But yeah, you can do that by going to theclackshack.com, or like I said, just search it in Amazon. It's really, really easy to find me. Just on Google. Like you can literally just Google it. Typical search engine. So
Dennis, that is a lot like saying you live in southern Canada, but a lot of Canada is actually south of me, so
technically you're central Canada.
Minnesota existed before Canada, so they're northern Minnesota. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Daniel says, have you made a video about selling files? Is it a major source of income for you? I don't know that I'd call it major source of income. I sell my files as cheap as I possibly can. There are days that I do pretty decent, and there's other days that I don't do so decent. There's days that I answer 150 questions, and there's days that I don't answer any. So I don't, like I said, the most expensive thing on my site is like $5. So it's not necessarily about raking in the cash, because if I try to get too expensive with my files, people are going to steal them and try to bootleg them. But if I give them away, then all I'm going to do is answer a bunch of questions for free because people just answer. A lot of people ask me questions constantly, some of which I understand because I'm just not real good at writing out everything. And then sometimes it's like, did you read the description? So, but it's not terrible. It could do better if I had more time to spend doing it. But it does okay. But it's not really something I don't know that I would need to do. I could do a video on necessarily because like there's a lot of people out there that know a lot more about it than I do. What up, Cody?
Hey, Cody. I see that was like almost 20 minutes ago, so I got to get caught up on chat.
Woo! Look at that. Oh, if you watch the videos, Cody, I'm sorry. Just gonna throw that out there. I'm sorry.
What?
But I needed a little more. I needed a little more like roundness in some of these little folds and stuff. So I'm sorry. Just throw that out there. I used a different bit. I used the Genie for the roughing, but then I used a 16th inch tapered ball nose for the detail because it had just a little smaller tip.
Boomer, no, I don't have a name in mind for my enclosure. I guess I'm not that good at naming them, so we'll see. It's kind of a hybrid, inspired by Clack's. I don't know if it's your original, but your maybe your second one, and some of my smaller X Tool one and such. We'll see. I mean, it's still. I have a rough idea. I drew it in 3D and SketchUp to kind of play around some things. But even as I'm building it, I'm going, okay, I need to, I'm going to tweak some things out. And then if I like it and if I get time, I'll try to put together some drawings at the end to be able to share with that, with everybody. But no names just yet.
All right, Ricardo's asking both of us, which sites or platforms do you usually browse for inspiration? I'll let you go first.
So I lurk in a lot of the Facebook groups, and by lurk, basically the things pop up in my feed. I don't necessarily go into them and browse too much outside of our own. So that's kind of an interesting to see. Because I do that for two reasons. It's kind of cool to see what people are sharing, but there's also a lot of people asking questions. And if there's a similar question coming up, it might be inspiration for like, hey, I could do a video on that project or that question and such. Outside of that, I like to visit, like when we go on vacation or something, I'll try to visit random shops, or if there's an art fair or something, I try to stop and I'll buy things from people. But I try to make a point not to just outright copy things too often, but be inspired by them, put my spin on it. There are a few others. I mean, Xtool now has their kind of, what do they call it? Their design share. I'm gonna have to go look at this now. Design find, where people can share their files for free or for they'll charge for some of their premium ones. And I just recently started, I know a lot of people in other places have brought it up, but Creative Fabrica is a site that you can subscribe to where you can buy designs or fonts, or in some cases, actual, laser ready files that they give you a commercial license to use in the production of items. You can't necessarily use them to make they don't want you reselling the files, so you wouldn't be able to use the designs and then sell them. But, that's a site that has a lot of good things on there that are usually topical. So whatever season it is. And I think they've got a deal going on it right now that it's something like $3 to $5 a month. And so if you think about the time it takes you to design it versus actually making it and modifying it, if someone asks you for something, you can go out there and grab the file and kind of get right to it rather than doing all the design yourself. So outside of that, I mean, there's a lot of other file sharing areas, Thingiverse, Things, a few others that have they're geared around 3D printing, but they also have some laser and CNC projects as well. So you done fishing out whatever you're doing?
Yeah, I may have made a mistake.
Okay.
I just realized it. I thought I'm comparing these two bits. I thought that Cody didn't make a ball nose this small, a tapered ball nose, but now that I think back, it was that I didn't have it last time I did a 3D, so I used this other one. So yeah, I could have used the Jenny bit, but I used the other one instead. Oops, my bad, Cody. I didn't realize that the tips were. I still think this tip's a little smaller. My eyes ain't that good, but yeah, I think that tip's just a little bit smaller on this one over here. But anyway, it wouldn't have been that big of a difference, so I could have used this Jenny bit. My bad. But the good news is, if I had broke it, I wouldn't have broke a good bit. I broke one of my cheaper ones. So that worked out, because this is some of the ones that I bought before I started using the Jenny bits. This is a speed tool. It's a 1/32 tip. That's what I said, 16th tip. It's a 1/32 tip. Yeah. 1/32 inch by 1 inch by 1/4 inch. Yeah, so it's a 1/32. I think it is actually a little smaller. I just can't see it. But anyway, sorry, Cody.
I'm sure you'll make it up to him.
Cody probably knows. What's the size of the tip on yours? I don't know that it says.
I think you're right. It is the 16.
0.062 on the website. So is it a 6? It is a 16th, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's a 16th. Yeah, okay. All right, so I was right. This one's a 1/32. So yeah, okay. All right. Well, at least that makes it a little better. But yeah, I think this one actually, now that I feel the tip, I think this one actually probably would have done just as good. But whatever. I've tried to use these so if I break them or whatever, I don't have to worry about it.
So Brad's asking if we've seen and or plan on getting the Atom Stack A20 Pro fiber, and that's that kind of gantry style with I think it's 20 watt.
Yeah, I saw it, but they haven't mentioned it to me or anything. I think that was an older machine, wasn't it?
I know it's been around for probably getting close to a year. I want to say it came out around Christmas time last year.
Yeah. What's up, Greg, over at STL Woodworking? So he's answering a question for me too. He said it's a 16th. So yeah, I was thinking that bit had a smaller tip, but I wasn't sure. And like I said, I think that's probably only the third time I've used that bit, because I don't do that many 3D carves with. I do a lot of them with the little. The one I'm talking about, the little cheap single-sided bits that come with the Genmitsus and stuff. I use those, but I don't get to use my rounded bits a whole lot.
Yeah, going back to that A20 Pro, I just don't know what I would do with something that, I don't do larger scale metal or plastic engraving like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even on the Galvo fibers that I've got, anything bigger than a business card in that detail, I tend to get impatient on. So it's got to be the thing that I can kind of set and let run, and then go and be doing something while I'm monitoring that. But I think that's kind of one of those niche things that, someone that's doing a lot of, plastic or metal signs that needs that. So.
Well, like I said, I'm going to try the 2 watt for the X-Tool S1, but that's for those license plates like I did for my truck, and mailboxes and coated metals is what I'm wanting it for.
Sure. Anyway.
Tom said he was just at Cadence. I wonder if he was at Cadence or if he was like at the website. Did he get to go visit?
I'm waiting to find out. I may be like I think I mentioned this a bit last week. I may be heading towards the Vegas area here in January. And if so, I'm hoping to swing down. My dad lives in Arizona, kind of central Arizona, and I'm hoping to swing down that way. And if so, I've already told him that we're going to try to swing by Cody's shop. So we'll see if we'll see if everything pans out for that. It'll be pretty cool, and yeah, they're going to hate me at work though because it's right around the semester startup for us when this trip's going to happen. So work people will be mad at me, but I don't know. It sounds like a cool opportunity if I can make it work. So we shall see.
Yeah. You see that hashtag right there, don't you?
Well, you know.
I'll tell you, I'm gonna start another one.
It's just another thing to keep me out of the workshop, getting my stuff done, you know. But
I gotta have my water.
Oh, he says he was in the shop picking up his order. Yeah, well, that's cool. I do hope to one way or another. I do need to get back down there and see my dad, and when I do,
well,
I'm hoping to swing by. We'll spend some time, say hey to Cody.
Well, if I haven't gotten the opportunity that Steve has so far, but if I were to get it, then I'm gonna go by and see Cody also. But I doubt I will because y'all know it's hashtag Steve's a golden boy. I don't get to go places like that. Now I have made more trips to the hospital than Steve has, no doubt.
I can proudly say I have never. No, other than when I was born, I have never been admitted overnight into a hospital.
I haven't had to stay overnight. I just had to like check in at 5 o'clock in the morning and get my tendons reattached and then go home.
Well, there you go.
All right. So questions, comments, concerns. We're at hour and 33. So roughly about 30 minutes remaining in the live.
Feels
show
like it's
tonight.
only been an hour.
I know. But if you got any questions or comments or whatever, just feel free to go ahead and drop those in. If you've got a question or something that we missed, drop it again because we try to keep up, guys. But when there's 178 people in here, sometimes the comments can get a little hectic and we miss things. So
yeah.
It's not that we're ignoring you. We just miss things. So Michelle is asking, which Genmitsu laser do you have? I had the L8, which was it kind of looked kind of like the Rolly, but it was a little more of a budget friendly machine. And it done a pretty good job. Klein has it at his shop still, I believe. But it was a 20 watt. It done okay. I didn't have any problems with it.
I had the I think it was the LC50. It was a 10 watt. And yeah, that was it was a decent laser. I think it was a little wider than your typical laser. But yeah, I passed that off to someone else to have some fun with, and it was decent. But 10 watt these days, when you get the what they're up to at least 70. Have we seen anything higher than that in the diodes? No. So it's
I haven't.
You could still do a lot, and like that M1 Ultra that has a 10 watt module on it, and I was able to do a bit with it. And then actually that the ASMR S1 Mini, that's a 2.5 watt. I was surprised I was able to get through like 16th inch basswood with that without too much hassle. So yeah, it's it's not always needing a whole lot of power as long as you have realistic expectations with it.
Hey, Steve.
Uh-huh.
Boom. There you go, Boomer. I can't say Steve gets bitter about it. Y'all know how he is. JJ is asking, what fiber do you recommend as a starting point? As always, it depends. I'm not have a whole lot of experience with fibers. First of all, just going on record as saying I have had the Com Marker B4 20 watt. I've got the Monport GA30 MOPA. I have the Laser Pecker 4 and 5 and the F1 and F1 Ultra. That's my only experience with anything resembling fibers. It's going to depend on what you're wanting to do. If you're just wanting to do like little small stuff, keychains, name tags, dog tags, stuff like that, then I would say the Laser Pecker 5, the Ultra, or either one of these other two would work. But if you're wanting to do real like deep engraving, you're going to have to step it up to like a 50 or 60 watt from what I've heard. I have no experience with them, but from what I've heard in my research and from what I've seen, the results I've seen from these, they're good for marking deep engraving, not so much. So what say you, Steve?
Yeah, it's going to depend on what you're wanting to do. You can do some deep engraving on the 20 watts. It just takes time. And it helps if it has a powered Z that can adjust, because the wavelength of the IR and the fiber is very shallow, and so it comes in and out of focus very quickly. So when you get deeper, it starts getting out of focus. So one of the nice things, like on the X-Tool F1 Ultra, is it'll say after so many passes drop down like 0.1 millimeter and such. But yeah, it's a 20 watt fiber. It takes time. So as a matter of fact, I could go grab something really quick and show you it and then tell you the time. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Roger. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm trying to go through these comments and see what y'all got. I saw Steve was playing around with cutting some the other day, but I don't know that it was anything fast.
All right, so this is a slate tile, and the lighting in here is horrible.
It's kind of blowing out a little bit.
Yeah. But you can kind of see there, if I tilt it this way, there is that lip of where this is basically embossed, that Vikings logo. If I can get the light right. Now, this was done on a 20 watt fiber, and this took just over 3 hours. And this is about 80 millimeters, so it's just a little under 4 inches. See, I should have. Let's see how deep this got. .5/64 of an inch, or 2 millimeters, 0.08 inches. So that's what 3 hours on slate got me. And once I need to put some oil on this, it'll make it pop a little bit more. But you can do this with a 20 watt, but it does take some time. The other part of it is the learning curve to it. The fibers have you've got power, speed, at least frequency. If you get into MOPAs, now you got Q pulse, and they all have different factors to them. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there. You've either got to upgrade your Lightburn to the Pro version to include the Galvo, or you can use EasyCAD 2 software, which is okay. Or if you go the route of Laser Pecker or X-Tool, they've got built-in software. I will say the X-Tool F1 Ultra
It's a little expensive for a 20-watt fiber, but their software makes it a lot easier to use. So you kind of get those quick wins. You get it. It's easier to get your files coming out right. If you're used to Lightburn, it's okay. But like I say, now you've got 3 factors to adjust and things. So it's it's fun, but it's not always fast, and you're gonna burn through a lot of, that's the other frustrating part, is that slate tile, aluminum business cards, stainless steel, brass coins, they're not as cheap as wood. So it's a little more expensive to learn, because you basically gotta burn through material to learn. But
Richard Shark's asking if we cut copper or aluminum on the CNC, looking for a good place to look and start. He said CNC. I thought I said laser earlier. I've got a machine shop here, a local machine shop in town, and I go out and they've got a scrap pile. Aluminum is fairly cheap. Copper and brass, I'm going to have to stick with aluminum. I picked up a piece of brass the other day, and when I price checked it before I left the shop up there with it, it was a little piece of brass like this wide and maybe that tall, and it was $40-something. And I was like, whoa, no, I'm good. I'm just going to stick with aluminum, because I got like a whole arm full of aluminum scraps for like $6. So and I really don't have a need for brass per se. Like, I use my CNC to make brackets occasionally for stuff, or I'll make a mount or something like that. But I really didn't have a need for brass, especially at that price point. So I just left it with them. But I shaved my pieces. Here's what I've got left. This is just a little piece of flat stock. It's probably 1/2 inch thick. So I got that in case I needed to make something big. Got some little flat bar here. So if I needed to make like a little bracket or a mount for something, I could, actually CNC myself a hole in it or whatever, and then just bend it, whatever I needed to do. And also I can laser it with the laser. So if I wanted to make like a custom ruler or something like that, I could do it. So I just grabbed that for the heck of it. And these I thought were pretty cool. They had like a whole pile of these little cutoffs here that are circles, like almost like a coin, but they're aluminum. And so I grabbed a bunch of them. And they're all pretty much the same thickness. I don't know what they were making that they were having to cut this little piece off, but it worked out for me because it's like I got aluminum coin blanks now. And what I want to do is try to make, I want to try to do a project where I take one and do it on the CNC and one and do it on a laser and see what kind of results I can get. But that's one of those projects that's going to take some time, and I've just got to get the time to sit down and do it. But I've got some other materials in too. I like going by places that make stuff and getting their scraps.
So if you're wanting to get into that, you want to get a single flute bit. And so Cadence, Cody over there, Cadence Manufacturing, does have an O flute 1/4 inch bit. And this is what you would use for working with metals or plastics on a CNC. It also helps if you can put like air, have a little bit of air to help, clear out the chips as well. But I think he probably even has some recommended speeds and feeds on there. If you go to, I think, the main page,
I think he does, because every time I send him a picture of a new material that I've done with that O flute, he's like, "Can you send me your speeds and feeds?"
Where is it?
So I know he's been collecting them.
All right. Great. Now I can't remember how to get to his feed and speed. But yeah, it's a good bit to start with. But either way, you want to use an old flute, and the cat's back.
Now, you can use an upcut, like a ball nose, but you better take small passes, because if it grips, especially like with plastic, if you're cutting plastic and that ball nose bit grips, it will snatch that thing up to the bottom, to that neck of that spindle with the quickness. But this is some scraps that I picked up that's actually plastic. This is 3/4 inch, like ABS. So it's a sheet of ABS, like 3/4 inch, which is freaking cool. Now I will tell you, when you machine this and cut this, you have to be careful, because if that slides through your fingers right there, it can cut you. This stuff's sharp. This is PVC. This is 3/4 inch PVC sheet. I got this from a place. They make parts for boats. So like up underneath the seats of boats and stuff like that. And they throw stuff away. They have to actually pay to have it disposed of. And so I go through their dumpster dive, and it saves them money. So there you go.
Yep.
Just got to know where to look.
Otherwise, you can buy large sheets of PVC, and I think even HDPE, even at places like Home Depot or Menards up here. But you pay for them. It's nice to get those scraps, like you say, from a place throwing stuff out. So talk to like sign shops and such.
Yeah,
and they sometimes will give you acrylic and other things like that. And that PVC and such is really good for outdoor stuff. So if you're trying to carve outdoor signs, that's some of the stuff you sometimes want to use.
Yeah, I've been told that PVC sheet will not, like, it won't decay or anything. It's like UV safe and all that, because they've made it for boats. So it's made to be out in the woods, or out in the weather. Can you emboss wood with a diode laser? Ooh.
you can, to a point. So the way this works, this kind of embossing, is you get a depth map. So you take an STL, it converts it into a kind of a grayscale depth map, and then basically it does it in layers. So like this is 256 passes, and for the deeper parts, it's going over every time, and the shallower parts, it's obviously not doing that until later. So it's a slow process, but yeah, you can get some really cool results, but you got to do a lot of playing with that. And then of course your wood is going to be a little less consistent than say brass or slate. So
hey, I'm telling you, it does well to figure out where all these machines are hiding at in your area, because this place, they've got, was it 5x10 machines all through this place, 2 or 3 of them. They got one that's got like 2 heads on it that they drop a sheet of this material up on there and like hit the vacuum switch and it sucks it down, and then both, like, it's cutting, it's just sitting there just cutting out pieces just amazingly fast. And so yeah, when they told me they had some scrap materials I might, could use, I was like, hey, let me go check that out. And I need to go back by there and get more of it, but I had just hooked up with them and started getting that stuff, and I didn't want to go get a truckload of it, bring it home, and then not be able to use it. So I told them, I said, let me just grab a few pieces of this different stuff. I'll take it home, do some testing, and whatever works best for me, then when I come back, I'll just get that. I do have some other stuff, which I haven't tried it yet. I'm afraid to try it. So like I've made some clamping and stuff like that with some of the black plastic. Now I did have to sand this because I almost cut my finger off with it. so I had to sand the corners because it was sharp. But they've got this stuff too. It's more of a rough finish stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but this feels a lot like just regular plastic. I think they said this was actually made out of like recycled milk jugs or bottles or whatever. So there's no telling what's in this, but it is a softer plastic. But this stuff here supposedly is stronger than steel. It's not carbon fiber, but it's similar to carbon fiber. The one thing he did tell me is that this stuff dulls tooling like nobody's business. So I have been reluctant to use it because I don't want to ruin bits with it. So it's just kind of, I want to try it, but I'm going to have to use one of my old my old bits on it in case it dulls it. Because he said that with their machine, they're running 3/4 chucked end mills and stuff, and he said it just shreds them. He said that they don't last no time with this stuff. So I don't know what's in it, but they call it something steel, but it's some kind of polymer material, which you can. Where's me something to hit it with here. But like it feels like metal. Like it almost sounds like ceramic or something. I don't know what's in it, but not wanting to stick a Jenny bit to it. So I'm sticking with other plastics. Ho, 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 ho.
Cool.
Chris said if it's milk jugs, it's HDPE. And like I said, he said it was just some kind of recycled plastic. He thought maybe milk jugs or whatever. So the technical names I didn't get.
Jess is saying, thinking about making a laser enclosure for my longer B1 40 watt with extensions. Is there anything I need to keep in mind?
I mean, where are you going to mount the camera? I mean, you don't want to make it too short.
Yeah, I mean, I would think about a few things. If you're going to put a camera, you want to give yourself enough height to have a little bit of flexibility and not have it too close to that. You might want to think about having how your airflow is going to go. It's, if you can, it's nice to have the air flow down below the honeycomb so it's not getting back up by your module. So having your air kind of come in from above and then down below is really nice. You may want to think about if you're going to be using a rotary in there, you want to either be able to have space below your honeycomb so you can pull that out, or as Clack has, you've got the lifting bed with the kind of the sit stand desk motor in there. And always give yourself a little extra wiggle room, over your frame. You want to be able to have room to make minor adjustments, get everything lined up. But, routing cables, maybe having wires out of the way, things like that. So, and then, you might need to add some lighting. So, check out, I did a video on using LED lighting and how I did it in my smaller enclosure. You might want to check that one out. But those are some of the things I can think of.
Yep. It's an undertaking, but yeah, you need to make sure that you got like all of those things accounted for. I always like to try to leave a little extra room around the machines, like you said, just for cabling and for maintenance, getting in here, cleaning it, that type of thing. Don't box it in to where it's a pain to get out, because the minute that you do is going to be the time that you need to adjust the belts or something, and you can't get in there to adjust it. That would be the biggest thing I would watch for as far as pitfalls, is make sure that it's easy to get the machine, at least to get it loose and move it around to where you can get to everything. Don't get it to where you got to disassemble it to get it out of the box, because that'd be a pain. But I love my enclosures. If you can get the smoke to go out down the bottom, like below your work surface, if you can suck that smoke down in the bottom of it and out the back, that would be great. If that means leaving a 4-inch gap underneath the honeycomb and CNCing yourself a little drop down like holder for the honeycomb, that's what I would do. But yeah, having the air go out the bottom is nice, because when you're engraving, you don't even really see it. It goes through the honeycomb and just gets sucked out the back of the enclosure. Keeps things a lot cleaner too. Oh, sitting still too long. All right. TJ Michael's asking, any recommendations for a quality fiber laser around 2000, looking to make leather stamps out of Delrin. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. I mean, the com marker, the B4 and the new B6 series, the B4, both of us have videos on. Pretty decent, basic 20 watt fiber, and that one is under 2000. They have a couple newer versions out that we got to kind of see, what the new features are. I know that the newer ones have like an autofocus, which is great when it works. But I think most of them have manual adjustments as well. But the other one you have is the Monport.
Yeah, but it's not in that. It's not in that price point.
Okay.
No, so I've got the Monport GA30, and as of right now, they do have the one I have is on sale, but you're looking at even with the $1,800 off, you're looking at $33.99 for the machine that I've got sitting over here.
But they do have their basic 20 watt. Their GP 20 watt is
the GP
it's on sale right now for $1,700.
Yeah, the GP is going to be the equivalent to the Com Marker B4. Basically, it's literally, it borrows a lot of characteristics from it. So yeah, the Monport GP 20 watt, it and the Com Marker are going to be neck to neck as far as what they can do, what they're capable of. The 30 watts really showing is $1,899, so that's not a bad deal, especially for a 30 watt.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not, the only reason you really, well, not necessarily the only reason, but one of the big reasons you'd get into the MOPA is having that extra level of control for trying to do some of the color stuff. If you're wanting to go deep, that's where you want to get more power. So I would opt for a standard laser, a standard fiber, but get more power out of it. Like you say, if you can get the 30 watt under $2,000, that'd probably be the way to go.
Yeah. The whole trying to get color thing is kind of overrated in my opinion. I mean, yes, you can, but it's not something that I'm going to sit around doing a bunch of. So. Ooh.
Dennis is asking, is there a colored film that I can put on my 1/4-inch plexiglass to make a top for my laser enclosure? Not that I'm aware of that I would trust.
No.
Adding a colored film may help cut down on the wavelength, but you won't, without getting it tested, it's hard.
I have tried that, and I didn't go blind, but I would not recommend it, because although it looked like it worked using just regular orange acrylic with an orange layer over it, that was years ago. And I now it's just, I pay the extra, I get the tested materials. That way I get to know that if somebody walks in my shop and looks at a laser, I don't have that concern. Back early on, it was just me out here. Now it's not just me anymore. And I always wore glasses, so it was more of a just in case type scenario than it was actually a window.
Mm-hmm.
Beaver Creek's asking what type of belt is used on an 8-shirt. They're mostly all the same, like 1/4 inch or whatever measurement belt. I mean, the length is what you got to watch for.
I'd have to pull mine out and check. But they're usually a 6 mil. But then you got to double check the tooth count on it. But they are very similar. So. If you really
Don?
need to know, Beaver Creek, if you really need to know, send me an email and I can double check the machine I still have, and usually there's the printing on it, and I can get you that information.
Yeah, Don, I have no idea. A UV to me. I see them being used more for like plastics and stuff than anything. And like I guess maybe glass and acrylics, but I don't know that it would do very well on wood. It's kind of like a fiber. A fiber is not going to do much of anything to wood unless you coat it with something.
I mean, UV lasers, I believe they're a lower wavelength and they interact with more things. A little more universal. But I think they're
like a 1.5 or 2 watt,
like a finer spot size, and so they're really great for marking on a lot of stuff and doing like really detailed work. But yeah, I don't have any personal experience with a UV laser yet, so.
I don't have anything except for a shortcut, but JTech Photonics is where I buy all of my protective windows for my machines. I'm trying to find where they're at. I haven't ordered any in a long time. I haven't built an enclosure in a long time. So give me just a second. I'll try to find you. Well, have they quit selling it? Safety gear. Okay, there it is. All right, so here's a link to where they have their safety gear, which is where the acrylics are located. Now, with that said, make sure whatever acrylic you're buying covers the laser that you're going to be encasing. Don't get 520 nanometers shielding for a 1064 laser. So, because most everything that they've got is only the 250 to 520 nanometers. So it's not going to work necessarily or not be tested for CO2 or fiber or anything like that. This material here is strictly for the blue lasers.
It's good to see they're back on sale. For a while they were back at their retail price, and that really hurt more.
Yeah, I can remember buying some of this, and it's by the time you paid the shipping, it was like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the prices have came down some. That's good.
Yep. John, yeah, from what I've heard, they did fix their air assist nozzle. They put a better one on them, so their newer machines, since my 20 watt, should have a better nozzle on it. So
yeah, I think it may have been Eric over at Valley Forge that got one after I did, and they had fixed it on his.
I think he mentioned it.
I think, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he said that his didn't have that issue, but he did reference in his video that some of the machines, including mine, had, because he even talked about me and you using the what was it? The painter's tape. We just put painter's tape over the tip and let it burn a hole through it to fix the problem. Or you did. I wound up swapping mine for a X-Tool air assist.
Yeah, that was definitely a temporary fix, but it definitely kind of proved the problem for me. So
yeah. All right. Well, we're at 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Craig's got a 10 watt hour tour, having a hard time getting a dark burn on white pine. Any suggestions? You could try defocusing it just a little bit. You'll get a little bit less of a aggressive burn and more of a center. It'll be just a little more spread out, but it might darken things up without completely blasting it away. But there are some woods that just don't, you get a little more like a light tan caramelized look than a dark burn. So sometimes it's just the particular material.
Yeah. Defocusing it with pine does help. Especially if you're talking about a 10-watt machine, because the dot size on that thing, it when a laser is focused, it more or less just obliterates the material. But if it's out of focus, it burns it. So you kind of want to find that sweet spot between obliterating and burning. You want to do a little bit of both. Uh, so that's the one biggest thing that people overlook with these diode lasers, because they tell you focus it this way, focus it this way. Focus is one of the variables that affects the way it interacts with the material. Uh, it's to me, focus is more important a lot of times than power and speed. Like power and speed is a lot more forgiving than the focus. You can get away with a lot more variety, depending on the job.
Yeah, he says it burns deep, just not as dark. So give that a shot. But like I say, there are just some woods that
and pine's one of them.
they just don't. Yeah, they don't darken as much. They're especially those softer woods. They'll just kind of obliterate and burn away. So trying a softer, like a softer focus on it might help you out. So, but anyway, you've been live for 2 hours. I've been live for about an hour 50.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were late, so you don't care. Somebody's asking what happens in 318 days. Actually, everybody's noticing it, saying something about it.
That's when everybody gets tired of Clack posting, multiple times a day and going live every other day. And
Hey, I can't wait.
He'll have a 24-hour 7 stream of the Clack Shack.
Heck yeah.
For paid. It'll be a pay-per-view kind of thing.
It'll be a paywall.
It'll be on his extra channel. That's when he goes all in on the Clack Shack.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. Now I am going to hopefully be able to do like a lot of the stuff that I can't do right now. Like I would love to make more files and do a little better job with my Etsy shop and stuff like that. I would love to have time to do more project videos, because I've had a blast this past week. I haven't done any equipment reviews. I've just been hammering out some project videos because I like doing projects. I like testing things. I had 3 or 4 people message me, "Hey, how about doing glass with the F1 Ultra? Have you ever done that?" And after about the 3rd person, I'm like, "Let me go get some glass. Let me go get some coffee cups. Let me go." I enjoy doing that, and it does help that most of the time I can recoup what I spend on materials and stuff by getting views on the videos and stuff like that. So I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to being retired and be able to do it all the time. But now the difference is going to be when I do get retired, even though I'll have a retirement check coming in. So I'm not going to be just like no income. I'm going to have to make sure I actually make a little bit of money with the channel at that point, because I'm going to have insurance and stuff. So it's gonna get a little more serious when I actually retire. But I think I can swing it. I think if you guys, yeah, Clack does, I guess, take the cool trips, yeah. But if you guys stay with me and we keep doing what we're doing, I think it'll be okay. I'm gonna enjoy it. I do want to do some traveling, get to go some places. Maybe I can get Steve to kind of let me in on his secret of how people offer him trips and stuff. So that I can take some trips. But it's going to be different. I told myself a long time ago I didn't want to be one of those guys that worked until he couldn't and then just had to sit at home because I was too busted up to do anything else. So that is my goal. I don't, because I'm busted up already bad enough. I don't know what the future holds for me in the years to come. So I want to try to have a little bit of fun. But yeah, it's coming up on us. 318 days. That's right.
Well, I'm happy for you. Really.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, Don said I can't beat it. He's been retired for 3 months and he's only 60. Well, see, the cool thing is I'm only gonna be 50 years old, guys. 50 years old. So, and I'll be retired with an income. Huh. Who would have thought it? That's right. No, not getting my years. See, hopefully the shop will maintain what it's doing right now, and I can pay for my insurance and be happy. We'll be good. So, questions, comments, concerns. I'm going to show off my project one more time and say thank you to Cody over at Cadence Manufacturing for providing me with such a good bit that cut this. And I really didn't even have to like do a whole lot of sanding to the edges where it cut it. It like cut it very smoothly. Very, very, very good job with the bits. I started to paint it, but y'all know how I hate painting. I started to get me some red paint and paint the bow red and paint these gold, and I was like, no thanks. See you, Chris. Have fun in the land out under over there. Go kick a kangaroo for me. I want a pet kangaroo. I really do.
Rolling into his summer now, so
yeah.
All right.
See, Cody just brought it up a new way. Only 45 more lives until retirement.
I read that. I was like, wait. It's like cat lives or something. Now I get it. 45. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, you thought it like lives. Whew.
Yeah. The math wasn't calculating in my head.
Well, see, Burn Carve Print, I'm glad you brought this up because I told Steve I really enjoyed his shop update the other day because I saw more real estate inside that shop with him walking around doing everything than I've seen since I have known him. Like there was corners, like I'd pause the video and be like, well, what's that? I didn't know we had that because I never saw it. So I liked the video and I told him he needs to do more. So y'all go spam his video that he did on his shop tour. Just spam it and tell him that you want more of that because I thought it was really cool.
It's a shop update. It wasn't a full shop tour. I still have those, those cluttered corners I was trying to hide, but I am taking video as I go. I want to get it done. So I'm not like explaining every step as I go, but I will voice over as best I can as I get through the build. And
just throw you one of those up and go at it.
You know how much cleaning I'd have to do for that to happen, but no, I do plan on putting a video together with it. Hopefully when I'm all done, I will have redrawn all of the changes so I can kind of share that out. I don't know that I'll do the full multi-page step-by-step instruction manual that I did for the last one. That's where I'm hoping the video will kind of do the instructions and I can give a cut list or something. I'll share out in some way, depending on the level of work, whether I put it up for sale or just give out the files. We'll see. But yeah, I do plan on putting together a video. If it drags on, I might do another kind of shop update, progress update on it, unless I get it done. Or I might get it done and do a shop update and then edit the video. But yeah, I'm going to try to do a few more of those kind of just quick. Here's what's been going on. Here's kind of the progress thing of some of these things. And those, at least for when I can't get the other videos out, gives you a little bit of insight into what's going on in my world too. So yeah, there will be more videos on that. And of course I still do plan on, whether it's, the Southern Canada version of Enclosurezilla or my own full design. That's another one that's on my list to build. So this is kind of the medium one.
I think you need to go with the Viking theme on your enclosure. I'm serious. I've been thinking about it because I'm like, you got to have a theme. I've got Enclosurezilla, which was, after Godzilla. And then I've got the lightsaber over here with my whole,
lightsaber.
Yeah. Well, you see, I've got Darth Vader's picture over there on the side beside that Vintage Workshop vandalized sticker I got over there. So I got the lightsaber and then I got Enclosurezilla, and you could have the Norse Avenger or something up there. I don't know. whatever you want to call it. But you could go with like the Viking colors and stuff. You like the purple and gold colors?
Well, that's
that would be
assuming
pretty
I get
cool.
it done during the Viking season. Otherwise, we got to roll into the Twins season. So, and I'm not much of a sad, even though Minnesota the state of hockey. I follow, but I don't really follow our hockey team, the Wild, nor do I follow.
Well, it was an idea. I just think, or maybe you could paint it up like a rocket. You're a NASA guy.
Well, that might be more likely. That it might be getting a coat of industrial gray, and then we'll put some decals on it.
It's gonna look like a laser prison.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. You got to see what kind of paint I have on hand.
See, I painted this one. I painted this one over here beside me black and white, so it looks like a patrol car. The only thing I didn't do was put a light bar on it. I need to paint some more stuff. Like I really want to do my CNC table in orange, but man, that's an undertaking. So, but anyway.
All right.
Greg said I can give away shop tours and property tours when I retire. I actually do plan on being a little more accessible when I'm not having to go to work every day. I am going to have to build me a bigger shop though. I have that plan because I gotta have a little bit more room to do some of the stuff that I want to do.
Yep.
And Boomer says he bought a Adam Stack A40 Pro V2 today and used your 10% discount coupon.
Awesome.
Cool.
Glad that's out there. Yeah. I mean, like I say, it's out there. Even if you want to use Clack's links, you can use code Vintari and you should get 10% off most orders at adamstack.com. So use that up. They offered it up as part of the giveaway and such. So please, if you're buying stuff there, save yourself a little.
Steve, we've already named your enclosure. You just got to figure out how you're going to paint it.
Well, I feel like
that's one vote. There's two votes.
Okay, but that's not going to make not going to make sense if I then build the bigger one. I'm going to call that Biggerfoot.
I mean, you'll just have to repaint, I guess. I don't know. Maybe Baby Squatch.
Baby Squatch.
I don't know. I don't know, but it's you gotta get it going. STL. I've got plenty of. I've got about almost 8 acres worth of real estate that I could put something on, which some of it's not suitable to put nothing on because it's like a mountain. But no, I'm going right up here behind the shop. I've already got the area between here and the sawmill. That's where it's going to go. I'm going to back it up with the back facing the cow pasture, so I don't, have cows staring at me all day. And going to put it right there. I'm hoping to be able to do one about twice the square footage is what I've got in here, if not more. I'm hoping. We're going to have to see how the financial stuff looks.
Ralph, I haven't gotten into it myself, but I've looked at a bunch of it, and it is very cool to watch. The funny thing is that back in high school, in my physics class, one of the projects we had to do was to build our own rocket. And of course, I was into model rocketry at the time and model airplanes and everything. And so this is second nature for me. So I built up my rocket. I had really nicely sanded fins. I had a really good cone on it, and they had three people doing the spotting with the angle finders to kind of coordinate and read the altitude, and they were plotting them. And of course, they get to mine, and it's like way off the charts. And my thing just got gestures on there. And the teacher chalked it up to error in reading it. I'm like, you got 3 people doing it. How could it be an error? So I was a little bitter at that at the time. But
there they go. They got it figured out for you. You just name them like Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch, Yowie. I mean,
Yeti. I'll get in trouble with that other tumbler manufacturer.
Well, there you go. There you go. They got it figured out.
John, I have been to Flight Fest. It was back in 2018, I think, was when I was there out in Ohio. A lot of fun, really cool to see all the building and everything going on there, and it's chaotic, but yeah, it was a fun event to be at.
Well, Mark, the good thing is I am in an unincorporated area here in Alabama, and other than the concerns of the insurance company, I really have no building codes or anything like that to worry about. I could literally build a warehouse on my property if I wanted to, and nobody would care, except for my wife, who would probably kill me. But yeah, I'm thinking 25 by 50. I've looked at 30 by 60. I'm going to get the dirt work done first. Look at it. I'm gonna probably end up I'm going to have an architect because I'm wanting to put an office in it with like a half bath. I want it to have a shower, a toilet, and then have like a little miniature, like basically have a microwave, coffee pot, and sink also in there. And the office part, I'm going to put a couch in there that is a couch, but can be let out into a bed for the occasional visitor from Minnesota that may come by and hang out for the week. And just like if for instance, if Greg or heck, if Cody or somebody like that happened to be in the area, I want to have basically like a little miniature apartment built into the office part of the shop so that they could have somewhere to stay. You have used bathroom, got a shower, a place to lay your head, a little place, like a little food prep area with a refrigerator for drinks and stuff. That's what I want. Now, it's not going to be very big. Don't get me wrong. This is not going to be like a massive area. It's just going to be big enough to basically serve as like a miniature motel room, for friends of the channel, as well as if I have family members or somebody like that needs to come crash for a day or two passing through. But that's the plan. Now, whether or not I can afford that, whether or not that comes true, we'll see. But that is the plan as we sit currently. But once I get it drawn up and get prices on the drawings, I may change it. So that's a big thing, because like last time Steve came down, we got the camper and set it up outside, and I think he enjoyed that because he was like basically getting to live out here in the middle of the boonies where and so it seemed pretty fun. But the problem is the camper just was kind of out of the way, like it wasn't exactly what we needed. So I'm thinking the new shop with that will work much better. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's he's going to talk this up, and then when we get down there, it's going to be a cot that's next to the CNC, and then the toilet's going to be a 5-gallon pail, and the shower.
No, I'm going to have that's going to be that's going to be the clean part of the shop. I've decided I at least want however wide the shop is, like if it's a 25 or 30 or whatever, I want like a 10-foot swath of it to be office/studio, like a clean room. So more or less, that's where my 3D printers are going to go, and the things that don't make a lot of dust. And that's going to be where the bathroom, kitchen, sleeping area, office, all that's going to be. And then in the back will be the actual, like, CNCs and lasers and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Cool.
Hey, got to have dreams. Got to have goals. I am a highly goal-oriented person, and if I don't have any goals, then I'll just sit here and do nothing. So there we go. But it has been 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 23 seconds. Even with Steve being late, we have both successfully passed the 2-hour mark. So thanks for coming, guys. And hey, we'll try to work towards building the Clack Shack version 2 together. That way, hopefully it'll work.
All right. Well,
Steve?
it's been a weekend. It's been fun. Like I say, hopefully I'll the gift shop. Hopefully,
not a bad idea.
I'll get some of my stuff done, and I'll have some content out that's more than just a quick shop update. But appreciate everybody checking out everything on both our channels. Again, don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe to either or both of us if you haven't. We appreciate it. Yeah, don't forget we're rolling up on the big giveaway here in December. So appreciate everybody hanging out here. That'll be fun. Otherwise, we'll be back here next Sunday.
Yes, sir. That we will. Everybody said, well, I'm going to find an extra long couch. Guys, it's all like TVs. It's diagonal. You got to stick him diagonal. He'll make it work. But till next time, y'all be safe and have a good one.
We'll see you.